So today I have a couple of different minis that I'm going to be painting. To start off, I'm going to start with this wyvern that I was going to paint the other night when I couldn't sleep, but I eventually fatigue got me, and I only managed to finish doing the base coat of black on it. And I've also got another very special miniature that I'm going to be doing. Owlbear. Okay, so let's start with getting some color laid down on the wyvern. I've seen a few different versions of wyverns and how they look and whatnot, but so I'm gonna go ahead. But they all are kind of like a brown in color, so I'm just gonna start laying down some nice dark brown on here. And I'm going a little light because the wings have this really nice texture that I want to come out in the finished product. So I'm just kind of dry brushing on some of the dark brown. that way when it's done, still have that nice texture for like the wing, the little the leatheriness of the wings. It'll give it some more depth. That is a little more moist than I would like. This one is a new release from the Nalzer's Marvelous Miniatures line. I wanted to get a couple of these from my local game shop, but they only got 2 in stock, and another guy wanted to get another one, so I decided I'd get one, and I'd let him have the other because I didn't want to be a dick. But just gonna slowly get the brown on here. The funny thing is, I've only ever used wyverns in a campaign once, which was just a few months ago, so this thing's coming out a little bit late for me to get as much use out of it as I wanted. It's also kind of why I wanted multiples, because my group was at this point in the campaign where they were trying to catch a flying castle, but the only way they had to do that was to ride on wyvern back to catch up to it. And the thing isn't big enough for too many people to ride at once, so it ended up being 3 different wyverns that was bearing them to the castle. But yeah, that's the only time I've ever used wyverns. I still theoretically could use wyverns because we're still playing the same campaign, and they're going up against a group of dragon cultists, so dragon cultists having wyverns wouldn't be that unusual. Although I think at this point the wyverns aren't much of a threat. The group's level 11 right now, and I can't actually remember what challenge rank wyverns are, but alright, let's get that other wing. The thing, there's pros and cons about working with larger miniatures, which is a very weird thing to say, larger miniatures. But one thing that I do like is that it's a lot easier to see some of the details. But on the other hand, it takes so much paint to cover them. And even doing something like this becomes really, like, just doing a base coat becomes a very time-consuming kind of process. But that's okay. I'm mostly just here to kill time. Alright, I need to get a little more brown, because like I said, this is taking a lot of paint. Alright. Alright, that will hopefully be enough, but we'll see. Okay. This wing actually seems like it went a lot quicker than the other one, but I might want to go over it again. Oop. Another thing I like about working with larger minis is it's usually easier to keep a good hold of them while you're painting them, because some of the small ones, when you're trying to paint them, it can be a challenge to find a good place to hold them while you're trying to get the paint on. But with the larger ones, it's less of an issue because there's more surface area to hold. Okay. It's coming out like a chocolate dragon almost. Oh, that'd be a fun April Fool's monster to throw to group, a chocolate dragon. With a nougat breath weapon. Or maybe something else, I don't know. I just like saying nougat. Nougat. Okay. I'm gonna get a little bit of the brown onto the rock, even though I'm not gonna have the rock actually be brown. I'm gonna go for more of a gray one with that, but hopefully the brown will show through a little bit, and it'll give the appearance of more of less of like a just straight out of the bottle gray, and more of like a more natural kind of appearance. Hi, Charlie. Yes, the audience is silent, but that's okay. I can't make people talk if they don't want to. I'm not Batman. I do not have those powers. Okay. Yeah, the undersides of these wings are going to be a pain in the ass. Fortunately, I don't think I'm going to have to get a whole lot of paint in them, because they're so in shadow. Not a whole lot of color would show up when it's standing upright. So I'm probably just going to do this brown and then leave it be. Okay. Okay. It's looking alright. Always got to turn it to make sure I'm hitting all the areas I need to hit. You can see that I did not get the dragon's crotch as well as I could have, which that always seems to happen. I always seem to miss like a spot or two that, you know, I could have covered better, at least during when I'm doing the base coat and all that. Okay, and it looks like I just need to get the other wing, and then I can start building up the value a little. Okay. Almost. Okay, I think that is good. So, difference is a little hard to tell on the camera, but it is now no longer black. Yeah, that's another thing with doing these streams. This particular dark brown I like is very hard to distinguish from black. Like, I can see the value somewhat, but it is not the value, the hue. But it's still very dark. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and look up wyvern pictures so I can get a better idea of how I want to paint this stupid thing. Because like I said, I haven't used them too much, so I'm not really used to looking at them. Okay, and okay, wyverns seem to be pretty universally hideous in both coloration and appearance. So probably just gonna go with some lighter browns and maybe mix in some gray into it. So let's see. It's my next lightest brown. You know what? Before I do the next brown, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and add some gray to it. That way, when I add the next brown, hopefully it'll give it kind of a mottled appearance. No. I'm looking forward to getting this thing on the base just so it'll stop falling over. So that is way heavier on the gray than I wanted. Okay, that's fine. That's fixable. Okay. sure I don't have a ton of gray on there. Yeah, there we go. Alright, now it's actually looking like I'm painting this thing instead of just... Alright. Okay. Okay. Part of me wishes I had some music or something to play so that there's less silence, but I'm still new at this and I'm not entirely clear on what Twitch's policies on having music during the stream is, and I don't want to do something stupid and get in trouble for it, because knowing my luck I would. I just realized that it's looking to me like I'm getting a lot of stuff to, okay. For a second I thought that the glare from the light was kind of covering up a lot of what I'm doing, but fortunately it's not. And I think I'm not gonna actually get any on the different scales of the belly there. I'm not gonna hit those with any of the gray. I want those to be a pure brown. So, switching to a smaller brush so I can get... Yay! And I just realized that I did not mute my computer. Whoops. Alright, mute that. Okay. It's a little heavier on the gray right there than I was wanting, but that's okay. I can fix it when I do the next coat, the next layer. That was a Facebook notification. I've got an add-on on Facebook that makes my sound effects something better than the standard. The standard, like, really irritating pings and stuff. Okay. No, it says yay. It's Fluttershy from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I've had that add-on for quite a while. I used to be a lot more into My Little Pony than I am now. I'm sorry it doesn't say gay, Charlie. Okay, is there any spots that I'm missing? I think I ought to hit at least a little bit of the underside of the wings with it, just so it's easy to, or just so it can be seen that it's in there. Just along the edges. Because in the deeper part of the shadows it wouldn't show up at all anyway. But would on the outside. Okay. Okay. I'm guessing it's on your end because I'm looking at the rate for my stream, and it's been pretty consistent. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm new at this, so I don't understand everything. I'm one of those people that prefers to learn by doing rather than doing copious research ahead of time, which is not the best approach to a lot of things, but alright. So that is the wyvern so far. Terrifying lesser dragon. And it's having autofocus issues, so let's see if putting this backdrop in helps. And did it help? I can't tell. It doesn't look like it. Okay, so good to know. Alright. Okay, so next brown. Yeah, just sit there upside down, you stupid thing. I'm holding off putting the base on just yet because this is a mini that I actually decided to do some basing on. So normally the bases are just flat black discs, but I decided for this one I wanted to add a little bit more to it, so I glued on some rocks to give it the appearance that this one big rock that the wyvern's on top of is just one rock among many. It's just the best perching rock. So, but because of that, I kind of have to wait until I at least get the rock down there painted before I can start really getting it on the base. I don't know why I said start getting it on the base. Getting it on the base isn't going to be that hard. Okay. Okay. Just kind of lightly go over it with this lighter brown, because I still want that gray to show through. Alright. And I got my first little bit of paint on me for the stream. Woo. That's just one of those things I've learned to accept when painting. I still have a bunch of gloves that I used to put on whenever I painted, but my hands tend to get really hot when I do that. And the paint comes off pretty easily. There's still certain things I'll put the gloves on for, like when I'm working with my super glue. But, or rather, I should still do it. I don't always, and then I end up with glue on my hands and feel like an idiot. Which is what happened the other night when I was putting those rocks on. I'm still also... Basing is one of those things I haven't done a whole lot of with my minis, so I'm still kind of getting used to it. And that includes figuring out the best way to get certain things on there, like the rocks. So I just put a whole bunch of super glue on there and stuck the rocks in. which, considering I got a bunch on my fingers, was not a great idea. Okay, actually liking how this is looking so far. The mottling of the gray and the brown is working at least as good as I thought it would, which is good because I honestly had no idea if it was going to work or not. Ah. Okay. Okay. And I am going to hit the belly scales with this brown because, like I said, I want them to be pure brown. Okay, and I think, oh yeah, gotta get a little bit on the other, just like with the gray, gotta get a little bit on the other underside of the wing. Wings. That's right, wings with a Z. Okay. Hooray, I may have been correct in my assessment. Yeah, stream rate still looks steady. A little bit of a drop off, but not much. Yeah, I got that wing. Did I get this wing all the way? No, I did not. Okay. Alright, so that is that. It's actually coming a lot quicker than I was expecting it would. Which, I guess that makes sense because this is a bigger mini, but he also doesn't have a whole lot of finicky little details to fuss over and spend a whole bunch of time doing. Which is good and bad, because on the one hand, those kind of things can be a challenge for me. But on the other hand, I really like little details because I feel like they add a whole lot more interest to the piece. And again, this is a wyvern. It's not a particularly dramatic sort of mini. Okay. Now I kind of want to just go really light on this light brown. And I'm doing more of a circular motion so that I don't just hit all the same areas that I hit the gray and the brown with. That way it won't have the same exact coverage, and therefore you'll be able to see more of the colors. And it'll have more of a actual modeled appearance, I think. Or maybe I'm blowing smoke out my ass, I don't know. I haven't actually tried doing this before, so... That's the thing, I've only been painting minis for a few years now, so there's a lot that I'm still kind of learning about the process. And like I said, I'm mostly self-taught, so I haven't watched too many tutorials on the subject. I probably should watch more. But it's a matter of getting me to actually focus on them long enough. And I just noticed that okay, no, that was just something sitting on the wing. That's good. And that's a lot heavier than I wanted. That's okay. Okay. in on that thigh some. Okay. Get the arms, or what would be the arms on a humanoid, I guess. Alright. I find it weird. I've never actually seen a wyvern with kind of like the cobra hood that this guy has before. So when I saw this mini, I was a little surprised by that. But then again, whenever I think of wyvern, I still think of the 3rd edition Monster Manual picture, which looks very different than this. This thing's more lithe than I picture too, because the one in the 3rd edition Monster Manual is very kind of stocky, I guess that would be the right word. Okay, yeah, there we go. That is a little bit more on the face. Alright, that's looking pretty good, I think. And we're only about a half hour into the stream, so I might have time to do more than just the owlbear tonight as well. This and the owlbear, I should say. But I also have to get this base, so let's get my black. Alright, and yes, painting rocks black, the most fascinating part of any stream. The trick is going to be to get like all the little crevices and stuff, which that is one thing that I like about the smaller rocks that are on here, because I've got 3 different sizes of rocks that I keep for basing miniatures and also doing terrain. The white ones being the largest ones that I have, and those ones are white, which is kind of irritating, but they were the only ones I could find in that size. But the smaller ones that are on here are actually black, which is nice for doing stuff like this, because if there's a part that I can't really reach, then it just kind of looks like a shadow. So whereas with the white, if there's, you know, a bunch of white poking out in a crevice, it's not going to look right. Okay, that's not bad. Alright, while I let that dry, I'm going to go ahead and start painting the rock the wyvern's on. Okay, still have enough in this gray to do this at least. I have a very similar sort of process for all my minis. I do a base coat of black, and then usually I'll do like a really dark color that I want underneath. In this case, like I'm using a dark gray, and then I go for a mid-tone, and then I hit the highlights, which is the same process that a lot of people use, but it kind of ends up with a lot of my rocks look the same and all that kind of thing. So I think I might hit the rock with a little bit of red or something after I get the gray down. And I just noticed that there's some spots in there that I missed with the black. Yeah, so I gotta go heavier in there with that to cover it up. There we go. Okay. Looking good. Looking good. Alright. Alright. So, there's... You can't see it, but I'm shaking my head at this stupid wyvern. Stupid, drunken wyvern. I really can't wait till I get it on the base. And I just got a whole bunch of paint over my arm. Awesome. Okay, that's heavier than I want. That's okay. That's an area that would be in like high light anyway. So, and I just realized I was gonna hit it with red. So, at least I said I was gonna hit it with red. Alright, so get you. So, just kind of gonna very lightly hit it with the red. Red, maybe a little bit of brown too. Okay. The reason I'm not just doing the brown is because I do want it to stand out a little bit from the wyvern. And I mean, when you guys were flying off of the castle, you were having some issues, so it could be that one of them was drunk. You don't know. That could be why Dee was having such a hard time controlling hers. Alright, so there's that little bit of brown and red that I wanted to do. So I can put the red away. And I can go back to the gray that I wanted, like I had started on. Alright. I'm actually kind of surprised that none of you guys tried keeping the wyverns after that. Especially Chris, considering his love for just getting mounts that I had no intention of him ever getting. Like that time he bought a bear. And then I realized what a horrible mistake that was to let him have the bear. Okay. Okay, so looks a little more red than I had wanted. Maybe I'll go over it with a little more brown or something. Maybe like a gray brown. So, doing something that I don't do as often, and I'm mixing some paint off to the side here. Mixing my light gray with my light brown. I mean, bear mounts are awesome, but this wasn't just like a regular bear. This was a really nice bear that was like not just a purebred, but that also injected it with pure magic and shit. So it was a super bear. This was in the Eberron campaign setting where they have these one of the major mercantile houses, the one that specializes in animals, has this process called mage breeding, where they don't just breed it based on genetics, they also just inject like straight up magic into it to make it even better. So he bought a mage bred bear. Alright, that's... Alright, the rock's looking better now. Alright. Okay, so back to the base, because nothing's more exciting than painting rocks. Okay. So these one... The rocks aren't going to get nearly as much attention, but I am going to pick out a few that are going to be not just straight gray. Like, they'll be more brown or more red. I might actually add some blue to some of them. I mean, that's fair. I almost forgot that you guys had to deal with Chris's body at the time. The one and only death that I've managed to pull off in spite of Eric's constant requests for me to kill you guys. Well, I do keep getting close, though. That's something. At least I'm doing a good job of making the encounters challenging. If you guys keep most or nearly dying. Let's see. I just realized that I could probably use that red that I put away. Actually, no. No, I'll stick with that red. Just to keep the continuity with the red that I've already used. Keeping consistency is always important for pretty much any work that you're doing. Doesn't matter if it's writing or painting or what have you. Consistency is important. Except when it's not, but you know. And talking about how consistency is important is kind of making me think of Dragon Ball and how Toriyama has admitted that he frequently forgets certain plot elements, like Vegeta's brother. Which I find both hilarious and also incredibly frustrating. There was a loose rock that I just pulled off. Okay, I think that's good for blue. And now let's hit some of the red ones. Yeah, poor Tarble. Really interesting concept that just did not pan out because he was forgotten. Okay. Just noticed that I'm covering up a bunch of stuff that I'm doing with my big fat thumb. So, alright. I think that's good. That. I already hit them with the darker gray, so now let's go for the light gray. Who is Toible? Huh. That's neat, and I agree, that would be kind of cute. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to do a little bit of white on both this and the rock, just for the brightest brights of it, and then I'm going to glue the stupid halves together, so that I can not worry about the dragon drunkenly falling. Okay. Alright, so just touch white. Note to self, keep all the paint in the same area, that way it's easy to reach. Okay, and I don't know how well it's showing up. It doesn't look like it's showing up as well on camera, but like in person I can actually see noticeable differences between the rocks I hit with the red, the blue, and the brown. So that's good. That means that's something that worked out and actually makes this look more interesting, more natural, which is very important that your fantasy snake dragon creature has a natural looking environment. Very important. I kid, of course. I kid because that is all I know how to do. I take nothing seriously, especially myself. Alright. Alright, so now to bust out the glue. And I really need to get a new thing of glue soon. Oh, shit. Technical difficulties. Alright. Everybody okay? Nobody got hurt from that? Okay, good. No lawsuits are forthcoming? So I had marked out on here like where I would glue the thing together, so that way hopefully the rocks are close enough, but it's not going to look weird. Okay. Alright. And that is... Come on, focus. Focus. Alright, whatever. Alright, so the wyvern is mostly done, but while I wait for that glue to dry, I'm going to start on the owlbear. So this is actually not the first owlbear I've painted. I painted one many months ago when I think when it first came out, but I can't remember if it was when it first came out or if I waited a little bit and then bought a whole bunch of these miniatures. I can't remember, but yeah, that. Now you want to focus on the wyvern. Well, fuck you. Just gonna pull the wyvern off to the side. So yeah, this is the owlbear. Like I was saying, this is not the first one that I'm going to have painted. The last one I did was kind of based off of a owlbear in a D&D game that I watch from Dice Camera Action, and they found that one in a very snowy environment, so it was more based off of like a polar bear and a great snowy owl. The one in the monster manual has like a brown bear and kind of look to it, and I don't know what kind of owl, but this one, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it to look kind of like a cross between a barn owl and a sun bear. But I can only vaguely remember what those look like, so I'm going to have to look up some reference pics in a moment. One of these days when I actually start... if I decide to start putting some more work into making the stream something entertaining to watch, I might actually start having like a reference pic thing up off to the sides on my streams. But that's assuming that this actually goes anywhere beyond me just talking to a couple people while I paint minis. I don't know if it will. I don't know if I really care if it does. I just know I'm having fun. That's the important part. I feel less lonely painting them like this. Although I'm not getting as caught up on my various podcasts that I listen to. Because before I started streaming, that's what I always did when I painted minis, was I would listen to podcasts while I was down here. Because I'm just not one of those people that really listens to a whole lot of music. But like, especially when I'm working on something, I like having conversation going on. I don't know why, I just do. I feel like I think better. But so that's kind of how I got into a few different D&D podcasts, including Critical Role. Yeah, I'm one of those people that doesn't actually watch Critical Role. I just listen to the podcast, so I never get to see how awesome like Matt Mercer's various terrain setups are. Although I do know that they are good. and they make me envious of his, well, mostly his money to afford the Dwarven Forge stuff. Dwarven Forge being a company that makes some really good scenery and terrain for tabletop gaming. And it's really good looking stuff. It's also expensive, but from what I can tell, you get what you pay for. It is cheaper if you get it unpainted, so. And I don't know if he actually paints it or if he gets it pre-painted. Considering how much time he has with that he spends with his job and getting and all that kind of stuff, I'm kind of assuming that he gets it pre-painted, but I don't know. He may have said what he does at some point. I honestly can't remember. Or it's just in like an interview or something that I haven't seen. Okay. The hard part with this owlbear is the feathers and the fur are kind of raised up a lot from the meat of the mini, so it gives it a really strong texture, but it also makes getting the paint in those crevices kind of difficult, and it's one of those times I wish I had an airbrush, which I really ought to invest in getting sometime. Or theoretically I could do this with spray paint, but well, I'm working in a basement, so spray paint's not a great idea. Admittedly, I have spray painted down here a little bit, but usually not for more than like 10 seconds or something. Okay, but circling back to the podcast I listen to, well, I normally do this. There's another one, the Danger Dice Gang, which is it's DM'd by Jim Zub, the writer for a bunch of comics, including the current official D&D comics with Minsk and the other champions of Baldur's Gate, as they're called. And he's also done work for Marvel. He's got a couple of creator-owned series, which I think are really good. But his group also has Andrew Wheeler, his wife Stacey King, Keen Sue, and I cannot remember the name of the last person, which I feel really bad about because I find her really entertaining. And those episodes I like because they're very short. Like Critical Role is usually around like 3+ hours. Danger Dice Gang is about 90 minutes. So I can listen to a lot more of those episodes happening than. And I love Critical Role, but I also feel like people that get into D&D because of it are going to be sorely disappointed, because not everyone is the same caliber of storyteller as Matt Mercer is. And even though Jim Zub is a talented storyteller, I mean, that is his job after all, the game feels a lot more like a regular D&D game to me. At least what's a regular game for me, where the story is less intense and there's a lot more silliness. Okay, I've almost got the owlbear covered, and I keep finding spots where it's like I need just a little bit more paint. And the last D&D podcast that I've really gotten into is the Unexpectables, which is done by some YouTubers, including Takahata 101 of Team 4 Star, Gaijin Goomba of Gaijin Goomba, and Chris Zito also of Team 4 Star, and that podcast is a lot of fun to listen to because it's a very good mix of silliness and also some heavier stuff. And I highly recommend all three of that was a really bad close up of my finger. I highly recommend all three of those for anybody that is interested in consuming D&D as entertainment like I do. Alright, so the owlbear is covered. I believe it'll be easier to tell when the paint dries and it's less shiny. Alright, so back to the wyvern. Okay, so the wyvern's mostly done. I just need to do a couple details like the mouth and the eyes. So for the eyes, I think I'm just going to keep them like, I'm going to go with a dark red for the eyes, I think. This is always one of the hardest things for me with painting minis because I am very heavy-handed, and also it's, at least in my experience, it's very hard to get a ultra fine brush. So, but this is also one of those things that I like about larger minis. They have bigger faces, so it's easier to get the eyes and stuff. Okay. And I just realized I've got my glue uncovered, so I should probably fix that. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, and just need to do a bit more, and he'll be done. Then I can work on the owlbear. The owlbear was kind of a impulse purchase when I went to my local game store yesterday. I went there to pick up one of the new commander decks that came out for Magic, and unfortunately they didn't have them available just yet, which was irritating because that was the whole reason I stopped there. So I impulse bought a whole bunch of stuff, including some more minis, which likely you guys will see if you keep tuning in. Not today, but like for the future and stuff. And I also picked up some new to me D&D books for a campaign that I might be running for some people at work. But we'll see if that actually pans out. Not entirely sure it will, but I'm happy to have the books anyway because it gives me some more research to do for trying to figure out better ways of doing my own campaigns. Okay. Okay. Yep, that's what I thought. There's a little bit too much paint on those teeth right now for me to get. So I gotta wait for that to dry. Alright, there we go. That is a completed wyvern. Come on. Come on, work with the camera. Work with me. Oh, sure. Focus on the owlbear. Everybody's just focusing on the owlbear. I love owlbears. Oh, come on. You were focused a second ago. Ah, damn it. Come on. Come on. Alright, whatever. I will have pictures up on Instagram later. Alright, so that is the wyvern. So I'm still kind of waiting on the owlbear to finish drying, but that's okay. I can put some of this paint away because I have a lot of paint out right now. Not that you guys can see it. And I can also pull up some reference pics of sun bears and barn owls. Okay, so alright, so sun bears. Okay, so yeah, sun bears have kind of a yellowish face, which isn't really gonna come into play here. And they've also got a kind of semicircular yellow spot on their chests, which might come into play. And barn owl. Okay, so alright, so barn owls have mostly white face, kind of a okay. Yeah, I think I can do that, and it'll look good together. The only real problem is that the owlbear mini has these those like really intense eyebrows, which barn owls don't have. But then again, snowy owls also don't have, and why is it being so difficult with focusing? Alright, this isn't really helping, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Oh sure, focus on the dragon. Fuck you. That dragon's going to be something I do on a later stream. Alright. Okay. I can see a couple spots that I missed with the black earlier, so I'm going to go back in there and get those spots. Like I said, because it does have such a really different, or such a high contrast between, or not contrast, the texture on it is really like deep, so it's cool because it gives the mini a lot of depth, but it also makes painting the stupid thing difficult. I'm debating on if I want to base this one or not, because basing it's another consideration I would have to make about, like, you know, what kind of terrain it's in and all that. And I also don't have a ton of I don't have a ton of supplies for basing either, so fiddling with the camera, trying to get it to focus on the stupid owlbear instead of stuff in the background. Apologies for this, folks. Okay, it just really doesn't want to focus on the owlbear. Well, not a whole lot I can do about that. Or rather, not a whole lot I can do to fix that I know of. But it is what it is, so. Alright, are there any other spots I missed? Possibly. I think I can get in here a little bit more. Alright. Alright. So while I wait for the owlbear to dry, I could start something else, but I've got less than an hour left, so I'm not really sure I want to start anything else. So maybe I'll just show off a couple of minis I did the other night when I painted without streaming. Okay. So the other night I did those two catapults there, which those were one of the, or two of the many minis that I have purchased without really having any kind of idea in mind of when I'm ever going to use this. But okay, there we go. Now it's focusing well. But I figured that they were interesting enough that I'd find a use for them at some point. And also, I did that to go with the shark that I did. I also got an octopus, and he is very shiny right now because I did a nice glossy varnish on him to make him look wet. So, yeah, that's what I did the other night. And I'm looking at my wyvern, and I can see a spot that I just completely missed with paint altogether, and it's really irritating me. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna go in and fix it right now, because fortunately for me, it's a spot where I can just do black, and it won't really stand out. There. Or maybe it's not that I missed it. It might have just been when I was hitting it with hitting the rock with white. I might have just hit that spot. Okay. Okay, so yeah, there we go. All right. All right. Is the owlbear dry? Possibly. So, sunbears have really dark brown fur, so dark that it's practically black. So, I think I'm gonna go back to my dark brown and maybe just hit it real lightly. Okay. Okay. And yeah, I'm noticing a few more spots that I missed. So, all right, back with the black. And it's real important to get all these spots, because if I don't get them now, then they're gonna stick out like a sore thumb when I have this stupid thing finished. Especially because this thing's gonna be a lot, like, really dark. At least in most places. Like, the face and stuff isn't gonna be very dark, but on the other one, which unfortunately I don't have easy access to at the moment, so I can't show it off, it probably wouldn't have stuck out as bad, considering that one was predominantly white with just like spots of black. But okay, there. Yeah, the super dark brown's working out pretty good, I think. And I think once I get this done, it'll look really good. Okay. So the wings are gonna end up being they're gonna be more barn owl colors, so they're gonna be a lot brighter when this is all said and done. But for now, I'm just gonna hit them with the dark brown anyway, since they're gonna end up being like a lighter brown, so putting down the dark brown is not gonna hurt them at all, and will actually help with shadowy areas. The black also isn't completely dry right now, but that's okay because I want the brown to be really dark, so I don't really care if I'm like picking up some of the black in with the brown. And I can see the difference between the brown and the black pretty easily right now. But once I have the like really light brown going on, it'll be, I think it'll be really hard to distinguish it from black. So it'll be perfect for a sun bear. Unfortunately, just because of the complexity of this, I don't think I will have time to finish it on the stream, but that's okay. The wyvern made me overconfident. It was going so quick, and then suddenly time just got away from me. I hate when that happens, you know? Time just suddenly gets away from you. Makes you think you and it are good buddies, and it'll just hang out and be there as long as you need to, and then wham, it's gone. It's gone with that. It's gone with the rent check that you gave it to give to your landlord. Okay. If I was more confident in my ability to mod this thing, I would get rid of those stupid eyebrows. But I am not terribly confident in my ability to mod this thing. Part of me really wants to just get a whole bunch of owlbears and just do variant after variant after variant on them. Like, I kind of want to do a owlbear that is, for the bear part, it's a panda. But I don't know what kind of owl I would mix with it. Okay. And at some point I probably will do like the Monster Manual standard looking owlbear, if for no other reason than to have one that looks like that. But that is not for today. For today, we are doing Sunbarn Owlbear. And I have a lot of paint on my arm. Maybe I ought to move this a little. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's take another look at what a barn owl looks like. Alright, so barn owls do have, it looks like they do have some spots that are pretty dark, but they mostly have really light brown to white feathers. So, okay. Okay. So, just like on the wyvern, I'm going to go to my medium brown now. I'm going to hit the feathered area. I'm going to hit the feathered areas. And I think the black actually might be too dark or too wet for this right now, at least on that side. And in a couple spots over here, it looks like. It's picking up some of the color, but not as much as I want, so... crap. This owlbear is just not being very cooperative tonight, and unfortunately that happens. You have some nights where things just don't work out, and that's okay. I need to freshen up my mid-brown anyway. I'm still trying to figure out certain things for how I want to do these streams, but I do have plans because I do want to continue doing them, because I have a lot of fun with them. The, 1 3/4 of our I've done. But one thing that I know I'm going to be doing is a theme month very soon. And I say theme month even though right now I'm planning on streaming like maybe twice a week for miniatures painting at least. I might do like a game stream or two during the week as well. But I don't know. I don't know how often I want to stream. But I do know that I am enjoying this, and I think it might be fun to keep streaming. But I've got a theme month planned for miniatures painting, if not video gaming, soon. And I have a crap ton of minis that I still need to paint. You guys have seen a couple of them because they've been up in the background. My original plan was to just have a big pile of minis up in the background back here, and then like every time I stream I would pull a new one off of there, but one, I have too many for the pile to actually be seen on there, and two, as we're noticing, I keep having focus issues with the camera, so having less stuff in the background is probably a good idea. Alright, and unfortunately, the black is still too wet, so there's not a whole lot I can do right now until it dries. I was going to keep this stream going for another half hour, so it'd be an even 2-hour stream, but at this point I'm thinking, because I don't want to start anything else right now, I might just call it here, since I can't get any more progress down on the owlbear. And I don't want to start anything else new because I'd have crap. Also, that keeps happening. So, yeah, I'm gonna call it here before I break anything. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I got a wyvern done at least. It looks cool, I think. And it's one of the few minis that I've based, which is something that I want to do more of. I need to actually invest in some proper basing supplies, like fake grass and stuff, but that's expensive, and I've been kind of cheap. But we'll see. But once again, thank you for showing up for the stream. Hope you had fun. I know I did. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to keep streaming. I'll probably be doing another stream in a couple days. So just keep an eye out for an announcement on that front. Not sure if I'll do the owlbear on that stream or if I'll finish it in my own time. But I'll have something fun for next time either way. But you guys have yourselves a good night and take care of each other.